I think, first of all, crypto, it doesn't have to be a partisan issue. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. I think that I work for two, I work currently and I have worked for two members who both don't think it should be a partisan thing. And I think that
Wow.
that will be the prevailing view over time. And I think that SAB 121 vote demonstrated that.
This content is brought to you by VeChain, which is a leading enterprise-grade Layer 1 public blockchain spearheading a digital revolution from a sustainable, highly scalable smart contract platform. The VeChain blockchain has many unique features, which makes it an ideal choice for Web3 applications. VeChain is working with many great enterprises such as PwC, Givenchy, BMW, and Walmart China. Most recently, they partnered with the Boston Consulting Group to build a revolutionary decentralized application ecosystem. I'm a big believer in this project. I have been since 2018. I've been a VET token holder for years. And this blockchain is highly scalable, great with security and speed, and it has low energy consumption. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, please visit vchain.org. Link will be in the description. Welcome to the Thinking Crypto podcast. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and with me today is Tara Burchmore, who is a fellow at the United States Senate. Tara, great to have you on.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here today.
Tara, it was really nice meeting you last month. I was down there for the DC Blockchain Summit and was able to visit Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office, Chuck Schumer, and so forth. And it was really nice to run into you and get to learn about, what you guys are doing and so forth. So I have a lot of questions because I think you have a great point of view and people want to know about what's happening in DC. How are these senators and members of Congress working on crypto? But before we get to all that, tell us about yourself, where you're from, and what's your professional background.
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Sun Valley, Idaho. I've been on the East Coast a while now, and I feel like you do not encounter many Idahoans out here. So always looking for other Idahoans to talk about Idaho things. I went to Dartmouth College undergrad, graduated, moved to DC in 2019, was working for like 6 months, and then COVID happened. So I ended up during COVID moving back to Idaho and started to work at a philanthropy that was focused on like rural community economic development. That was a really good experience. And then after about a year there, I decided it was time for me to go to grad school. So I moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts to get my master's in public policy at Harvard at the Kennedy School. And while I was there, I started to get more interested in tech. And I did this project tracking, I was in a coding class and I did a project tracking the prices of NFTs and how they moved.
Wow.
And then I got a research grant to do a project about DAO governance strategy. That was kind of the beginning of my interest in the blockchain space. I took a blockchain class in my second year and wrote a paper about DAO LLC laws in different states and how they could be extrapolated to the federal level. So it's pretty cool to have gone from a place where I'm like in grad school writing papers about blockchain and crypto legislation and what they could be to now being in a place where I'm actually working in that space.
Yeah, that's very cool. Question for you, where did you decide you wanted to go work in DC? Because you're certainly into tech. I love that you were taking these courses and experimenting with NFTs and learning about DAOs and so forth. How did that translate to going to DC?
Yeah, so I applied in January of my second year of grad school, so that was January 23, to this program called Tech Congress. And it's a wonderful program, very happy to be part of it. They take people with some sort of tech background, and I probably am on the less technical side, but they take people with a tech background and bring them to DC and place them in Senate or House offices to be subject matter experts about certain tech. And since I applied in January 2023 with my essay all about how I love the blockchain and I'm so interested in it, and I think DAOs are so fascinating, I'm pretty sure at that time, which was like a month and a half after ChatGPT came out, every single other application they got was about AI and how AI is the future. And so they want to get a well-rounded cohort of people who have different interests and can be placed in offices that need their help and want their help. So I think that me being focused on the blockchain space instead of AI was really helpful for me getting into the fellowship.
Oh, for
And
sure.
through the fellowship, I moved here last June, and we did a 3-week orientation, and then they just set us loose to find a job. So I had a couple of conversations in the House and the Senate, and specific conversations being like, yeah, I want to work on blockchain. After a couple coffee chats, people were like, if you want to do blockchain stuff, you're not going to be able to do just DAOs. Crypto is really where things are happening right now, and that is where attention is being paid in this space now. And I think that was really helpful advice, and that helped me like focus my search a little bit.
Mm.
And then I was talking to a Tech Congress alumni who had been hired on from his fellowship into his office, and he worked in Senator Lummis's office. So he said, "Oh, what are you interested in?" I said, "Oh, I'm interested in crypto, blockchain." He said, "We're hiring a digital assets fellow. Send me your resume, come in and talk to us." And so I was able to talk to everyone in that office and got that job.
Oh, that's really cool. And what's fascinating, Tara, is you worked for Senator Lummis and Gillibrand, both of who are pro crypto and have been pushing for legislation, and they have actually put out their own legislation for stablecoins and market structure. So it's really cool that you got kind of the best of both worlds, because one is Republican, one is Democrat. What has that experience been like working with the
Yeah.
two?
It's been very cool. And so I'm still part of the Tech Congress Fellowship. They offered me the opportunity to do a rotation. So in January, I rotated from, or sorry, no, in April, I rotated from Senator Lummis's office to Senator Gillibrand's office, where I am now. And it was very fun because I had been working as part of the team on the stablecoin legislation between the two offices for a couple of months there. And we ended up dropping it in my first week in my new job. And so I thought that was a pretty cool experience, because how often do you start a job having already worked on the project for 8 months?
Mm. Yeah. And I know it's been kind of a wild like couple of years with crypto and DC, because you had, some bad things happen with FTX and these things. So we went from a very negative place to now more positive with Wall Street, BlackRock, and all these guys here. Democrats working with Republicans to get legislation through. So what a change. And I know it's been a bit of a whirlwind.
And if
Um,
I can hop in, I think you can kind of see that, and this predates me on the Hill,
mm,
but the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, which is a Lummis Gillibrand bill, first came out in 2022. That was crypto summer. That was definitely people feeling a lot more bullish in general, the common opinion. Then they reintroduced it in summer 2023, shortly before I joined, heightening consumer protections. That was after the FTX meltdown. So they're listening and keeping the finger on the pulse and adjusting that comprehensive legislation to the pulse of the moment.
mm. Quick question in general about working in DC. Is it everything you expected? What do you love about it? Or
Oh,
what
I,
don't you
I
hate
love working on the Hill. I will speak to the Hill specifically, not DC in general, because I had a job in DC when I first started out and I did not like it that much. But the
it?
Hill is amazing. It is just this energy of like, and you probably felt this when you came in last month. It is just for so many people who are coming in to visit and talking to groups are one of my favorite parts of working on the Hill. Constituents coming in to advocate about something that's really important to them is really, really helpful for us, because like I am maybe not an expert, but at this point I know pretty well how the Hill works. That doesn't mean I know the deep intricacies of any kind of different subject matter. But having someone who's a subject matter expert come in, who's worked in a field for 20 years and can tell me, hey, this is the problem that we're having. And I can figure out how to translate that into, oh, if this is the problem, and like that would have to go through this committee, and then that would have to be this legislative process. Kind of having that working together process is amazing. I think being on the Hill, you get so much access to so many smart, brilliant people who want to help and want to help make legislation better. I think that's amazing. I
Mm.
also think the fact that everyone who's there really does appreciate being there. Like, it is a very special place. It's where laws are being made. And I think if I ever lose the excitement about that, that will be when it's time to leave. Have not lost it yet. And I also think that like in other jobs, sometimes you find yourself doing things and you're like, what is this going to? Is this just gonna improve the bottom line, increase shareholder value? Whereas like anything I do on the Hill, maybe not everything's gonna pass. Maybe things will pass in 10 years and I will be long gone to see them do that. But all the work I do has like at least 5% chance of like making Americans' lives better. And I think that is just like, that's something that really is helpful to get through any day in any workplace situation when you know that you're directly helping people.
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, I think I was telling Cody Carbone, the DC of the chamber, the digital chamber, that boy, I think I got bit by the DC bug because I'm like, I want to go back again and I want to
Oh,
be on the Hill. And
come work on the Hill. No, apply to my fellowship. You've got a tech background.
you know what? We'll have to discuss that after this because I'll definitely take you up on that offer.
We'll
Um,
have a one-on-one.
Yeah, it's exciting and there's really cool energy. It was really nice walking the Hill and going to the different offices and advocating for, like you said, things that you believe in and meeting folks like yourself. So I don't know, maybe that's something down the line
Well,
for me.
and I think another thing I'll say about my fellowship process is we were told, and I think the fellowship's been around for a while now, so I think things have shifted a bit. But in the orientation, we were told, like, you are going to be the subject matter experts. You're going to be the one that knows about this tech that can educate everyone. In
Mm,
both offices I've been in, I have been the one learning. I definitely think I've contributed, but I've worked with people who are so smart and so knowledgeable that I think that that is totally reinvigorated my faith in the people who are working on policy. When you have people who are so smart dedicating their time and effort to issues like this, I think that is really validating. I will say, I've only been in offices where members really do care about crypto and they care about this tech. I think in other offices where it is not receiving as much member attention, you still have very smart people working there. They just might not be working on this. But
mm.
that's why groups like yours coming in and talking to different offices, reminding members that constituents think this is important is really, really helpful and productive.
Mm. Now, Tara, I mean, over the past, boy, what should I say, 3 to 4 months, there's been
Mhm.
an incredible change in the political winds around crypto. And let's name out a few things. Donald Trump coming out and saying, I'm the pro-crypto presidential candidate. I will support your right to self-custody and so forth. The SEC has been taking some big losses in court. And then you had Democrats side with Republicans to repeal SOB 121 in the House and Senate and to pass the FIT 21 bill out of the House. How are you feeling? What are you hearing and seeing from your perspective?
Mhm. I think, first of all, crypto it doesn't have to be a partisan issue. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. I think that I work for two, I work currently
Yeah.
and I have worked for two members who both don't think it should be a partisan thing. And I think that
Right.
that will be the prevailing view over time. And I think that SAB 121 vote demonstrated that.
Mm.
Um, I think that the SEC is figuring things out. We've seen them approve ETFs for both in the blockchain space, and I think that that is helpful progress. And I think for Trump, I think he knows what to say to get people to donate to him.
Sure. Well, that's the game of politics, right? But I think from the macro, let's say put aside Trump, put aside Biden, those names and those figures, but I think the offices, right? I think that's so significant. The position, former president, presidential candidate, this is a election item. It's not number one. Obviously, people have other things, the economy and things they're concerned about, but I think crypto is it's starting to make an appearance here that for some voters, like, hey, it's maybe my number four issue, but I'm going to take this into consideration. And then you have the crypto industry raising a ton of capital now, donating to super PACs. So it feels like crypto is becoming this political force to be reckoned with. But to your point, right, the end of the day, it's bipartisan. It shouldn't be partisan at all.
And to be clear, the super PACs, which have been raising impressive amounts of money, those are not going to one party. They are going to pro crypto candidates who support crypto,
Mm.
not all one party. And I think that stuff like that, we need to maintain that
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah, for sure. It's so fascinating, and what I'm really looking forward to is the presidential debate. And I don't have a horse in the race where I'm like, well, I support this candidate. We're just talking in general here, but I'm very curious if crypto is going to come up as a question. Do you think we see something like that?
I will be tuning in to see if that happens. I think that you are completely right. There are, for a lot of people, this is like issue number 4. And I think you and I are, and probably many of your listeners, we're both in that crypto space. And so we're encountering the people who are the single issue voters.
Yeah.
And I think that I sometimes struggle to tell, is my perception warped? And is this such an important thing? Because like to me it is. This is what I work in. I was at Consensus, like surrounded by people who feeling very passionate about crypto and about the crypto's role in the political process. But I am honestly unsure how big a deal it is in the broader scheme.
Mm.
And so my guess, and don't hold me to this, and I'm not putting money on this, I'm not putting crypto on this. I don't think it'll come up at least at the first debate,
Mm.
unless one of the candidates brings it up, because I still think it hasn't fully hit the mainstream. That doesn't mean that is not my sense of what should be happening. That is just my sense of what is currently happening.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great point because oftentimes we can be in our own bubble, right? And not realize, okay, well, there's millions of other people who don't really care about this right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they eventually will, but we'll see. We'll have to wait and
And
see.
I do really feel that on the Hill in both the offices I've worked in, because we have people coming in, and sometimes we have advocates who are like, this is why crypto is amazing. And I'm like, yep, you've got us. Deliver that message to other members. But a lot of members, maybe not a lot, but so I think some members, staff don't see this as a priority,
Mm.
aren't really interested in taking a crypto meeting. And so I think like it's important to remember when you're in the bubble. And I also think that this is something that will continue. Crypto is here to stay. I think it's really important that we put in, and I will say this to crypto skeptics as well. Crypto's here whether you like it or not. It's important that we put in reasonable regulations around it to allow it to innovate and thrive and keep some of that innovation in the US. But that I don't think it necessarily means that it will be an election deciding issue now, but for some people it will be.
Mm. Yeah, and to your point, it's a low percentage, but in a tight race, it could matter. But we
Oh,
have to wait and
completely.
see. Yeah, we have to
But
really.
I think it's not quite as mainstream as you and I may find it in
Yeah.
our current day-to-day conversations.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about Senator Gillibrand's, her agenda, and I don't know how much you can disclose, but what is her plans for, let's say, the bill that her and Senator Lummis have put together? Obviously, the FIT 21 bill made it out the House. Is it going to be merged with her bill, her and Senator Lummis's bill? Anything you can share there?
So I am just a fellow. I do not speak for the senator. And I am going to support whatever she wants to do and help carry it through.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, Now, as far as advocacy and things like that, have you noticed like a lot more of the crypto industry folks coming in
Mhm.
as of recent, trying to spread the awareness and education about crypto?
And so this is an interesting question and kind of goes back to what we were talking about like the bubble. When I was in Senator Lummis's office, like she's the crypto queen. Everyone
Mhm.
is coming to her. Senator Gillibrand similar, but not only is she known to be a crypto supporter, she also is the senator of New York. So you
Mhm.
have a ton of traditional finance and decentralized finance and fintech all coming in, and a lot of that is crypto related, all coming in to talk to her. So I think that I have a warped perception of what's going on the Hill generally. But my advice, I think, to crypto advocates is the people who are in your corner, and that's amazing. And I think that touch back in, share cool updates, but the main force of the advocacy should be dedicated to the people who are still on that fence, who still are open to be educated, especially people who have taken a pro-tech stance, but maybe have not really dipped their toe into crypto. However, all of this I say, I don't see the schedules of the members who are in this camp of kind of more crypto curious, but haven't really taken a stance yet. I don't know if they're getting a lot of crypto meetings or they've gotten more in the past couple months because I have been in the spaces that are already pretty much decided.
Now, I remember earlier you mentioned that you studied DAOs and how the laws on maybe a state level could be transitioned to federal. Can you tell us a bit about that? Because I'm very curious about that and the future of DAOs and how that would work. I guess, what you studied and what do you see happening in the future around that?
I will say I know so much more now than when I was an idealistic grad student being like, we can just rewrite the tax code. So I think that I'm now in a more pragmatic stance. But there remain very, very cool things innovating on the state level for DAO LLC laws. And basically what that is, it's just a taxation shift. It allows DAOs to register as official organizations in their states. There's actually just a cool law in the state of Wyoming that passed called the DUNA.
Yeah.
So the Decentralized Unincorporated Nonprofit Association. And so now, instead of a limited liability company, a DAO can also be a nonprofit. And that, I think, is a cool example of innovation. And I think that state laws can be a really good bellwether for federal laws in the future.
Yeah, I know I don't know if this is mentioned in the Fit 21 bill or Senator Lummis and Gillibrand's bill. I haven't done my homework on that, but maybe it's something that comes in later on. But that is something we do have to figure out on the federal level. I think states are starting to get it right, but we'll see what the federal government wants to do. So I got some wrap-up questions here for you. First, if you could create your own metaverse, what would the theme be?
This is tough, but did you see the Barbie movie last summer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe a Barbie world inspired metaverse, but it can be Tara's fantasy dream world.
So you put on your Oculus and go into the Barbie world.
Perfect. Yeah.
Rapid fire questions. Favorite food?
Peppers.
Favorite musician or band?
Sabrina Carpenter.
Favorite movie?
I might have to pass on that one. Nothing's coming to mind.
Favorite book?
My classic favorite book is This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald.
And when you're not working in DC, what are you doing for fun?
My number one hobby is Capital Bike Share, the bike share that's in DC. It's like the New York equivalent of City Bikes. I love it. They have e-bikes and acoustic bikes. It's the best way to get around DC. You can bike down to the mall, watch the sunset. Best thing.
Awesome. So do you feel like you're gonna be in DC for the next like 10 years?
I have no idea. We'll see where the tide turns. My fellowship goes through the end of this year, and then I will be figuring it out.
Awesome. Well, Tara, pleasure chatting with you. I appreciate your perspective, and we'll have to have you back on as things progress, especially with Senator Lummis and Gillibrand's bill. But thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a great chat.